guys, I'm Trina and this is my review of the Sisterhood series by Ann Brashares. The 5 books in this series are the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, the second summer of the Sisterhood, Girls in Pants, Forever in Blue, and finally Sisterhood Everlasting. I'm going to start out by talking about these 4 books together, and then I will have a section on the 5th book by itself, because this one is actually set 10 years after events in the 4th book. So there is quite a time gap, and the series makes a jump from young adult to adult. So I'm going to talk about this one a little bit later on in this video. And this video is spoiler free. So the first 4 books in the series follow a group of 4 girlfriends that have known each other their entire lives. They've grown up together, and during, I think it's their sophomore year of high school, they're facing their first summer apart because they're all taking trips to different places in the world. They're not going to be together for the first time in their lives, and right before they all depart, they find this pair of jeans at a thrift shop that magically fits all 4 of them perfectly, and they take this as a sign of like their friendship bond. So they decide they're going to use this pair of pants to stay in touch during the summer and to feel their bond of friendship even though there are many miles between them. So they're going to mail these pants back and forth as well as keep in touch by letters. All of the books are set during summer, so you go sophomore year of high school, then junior year, then the summer after senior year, and the 4th book jumps into the summer after their freshman year of college. So this series and the friendship does grow with them, and that was one of the best things in my opinion about this series. This series has been out for a long time. The first book was originally published in 2001, I believe, so a lot of people know about this series. They grew up with it. It was one of the first like standbys of YA. I, however, had never read it, although I had seen the movies when those came out, and I read the books for the first time this summer, and I actually binge read all 5 of these books at once, like back to back. So I really enjoyed the series, and I did listen to books 2 through 5 on audiobook, and I really enjoyed the audiobooks and would recommend those as well. I want to tell you what I liked and disliked about these first 4 books, and then I'll move into a review of the 5th book since it is kind of such a separate story. The main thing that I really loved about the first 4 books in the series were the characters. The characters and the friendships that they had with each other, and how even though these 4 girls are all best friends, their friendships differ between girl and girl. That was my favorite part of the series, and like I said, I loved seeing the friendship grow throughout the course of 4 years, and then in book 5 also you saw it throughout the course of another 10-year gap. I also really enjoyed the family dynamics that all of these characters brought to the story. You have Carmen, who is half Puerto Rican, and you have Lena, who is Greek, and both of these girls are dealing with their family cultures. I also really enjoyed the fact that this series touches on mental health, which is a very important topic, and teenagers are not immune to it. I think over the course of this series you do end up seeing all 4 girls go through some kind of serious depression because of the events in their lives, and one of the characters actually lost her mom because her mom committed suicide, and that is definitely a very impactful thing that this one character, Bridget, is struggling with throughout the entire series. So you see how that affects her life and how she kind of goes into her own depression because of what her mother went through. The girls don't always make the best decisions, but I feel like all of their actions were fully believable. Even when they were really annoying to me, I still felt like I understood these characters because maybe at that age I was acting the same way over something that, looking back as an adult reader, I'm like, oh, that's just too melodramatic. I do want to mention a couple of things that I disliked about the series, and I think the biggest dislike for me overall is, although the series does take on really important and heavier topics, and although the characters are highly developed in my opinion, I did oftentimes, especially in the first 2 books, feel like I wasn't being shown enough depth to the situations. Like, they would tell each other in their letters that they were feeling depressed or sad or giddy, but then when they had a scene and they were on page, they didn't really show that quality. They didn't really show any kind of emotional reaction to that. It felt more like a narrative where the characters were detached from it, and so to me, I just wanted a little bit more depth. Another big thing that I didn't like in this series was one of the girls' plot lines with her love interest. I just was not behind this romantic pairing at all. I did not understand the appeal. It just seemed like such a shallow, surface level relationship where they said like 2 words to each other, and then you have 5 books of them not getting over each other. I remember being very obsessive about crushes and needing more closure when I was a young teenager in romantic relationships, but I feel like also I kind of moved on quicker, and I kind of would have loved to have seen that specific character given an opportunity to move on and to act on that, because that allows for personal growth. So that did kind of annoy me. I'm not a fan of that romantic pairing at all, even though it is like the biggest major romantic pairing in the series. I just felt like it lacked everything. I want to talk about the 5th book in the series now, Sisterhood Everlasting. This is an adult novel, and it is set 10 years after the events of book 4 in the series. So 10 years after their freshman year of college. All of the girls are now adults, and you've seen how some of them have lost touch with each other, what they're doing in their lives, with their careers, with their families. And the situation in this book is the 4 of them trying to reconnect after a long amount of time. I heard a lot of people saying that, you know, you've got to finish, you've got to read this book too, even though it's so different. But I heard more people saying just ignore the 5th book, just pretend like it doesn't exist because it's terrible and it's horrible. But I really wanted to read it because I personally love books that have a time gap, like in a series, and you can see what happened to the characters many years later. That is just something I am really curious in, and I kind of wish more series would do it, because you spend 4 books with these characters you get really attached to. I want to know their final outcome, you know? And I'm really glad that I did read it because I really enjoyed it. There are situations in this book that are awful, that you are not going to have fun reading about, but it was very real, in my opinion. I did have a very strong emotional reaction to just the adult lives of these girls, and watching them process the fact that their families are aging, or some of their family members are no longer around since the past 10 years that we haven't seen them, and the way in which these friendships have evolved and changed, and some of them have just completely fallen off over the past 10 years. That's a very real aspect to life. Really knowing their background and knowing them as teenagers is what made this book so much more impactful to me. I really did enjoy reading this one and knowing the full story and seeing that progression from high school to adult life with careers and families. So I would definitely recommend to not skip this one if you have read the first 4 books. So that is my review of the Sisterhood series by Ann Brashares. If you've read this one, let me know what you thought of it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye!